Good morning. I'm Sarah Traherne, CEO of the Country Music Association. Thank you for joining us today as we have an exciting morning to reveal the newest class to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I'm always struck with admiration being here each year, and of course I'm honored to stand in this historic Hall of Fame Rotunda, where the heart and legacy of country music is represented by the names and faces that adorn the walls all around us. Today we honor three more worthy individuals with the highest honor in country music, induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Today we'll be announcing inductees in three categories: the recording and touring musicians rotating category, the veterans era artist category, and the modern era artist category. At CMA, we're honored to celebrate excellence in the genre throughout the year, but this event is always one of my personal favorites because of what it represents. Each of these inductees have made an indelible impact on our business, our genre, and our community, further proving how deserving they are of this honor. These inductees will join 152 other country music greats on the walls, who we welcome into the unbroken circle that is the Country Music Hall of Fame. CMA created the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1961, and we take great pride as an organization in conducting the balloting and the selection of the inductees. We're honored to welcome our guests here in the Rotunda and our country music community joining us live stream to celebrate these worthy individuals. Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to thank our CMA Board of Directors, whose hard work, commitment, and dedication to our genre is what propels us to continue to expand country music all around the world. I'd also like to particularly extend a special thank you to the chair of our Awards and Recognition Committee, Jim Beavers, as well as our Vice Chair, Dan Rogers, who are both in attendance today, as well as Kella Ferris, our board chair. And last but certainly not least, to Kyle Young and the amazing museum staff, thank you for your continued efforts to preserve country music's rich history. We're forever grateful for your ongoing support and partnership. Please join me in welcoming Kyle to share a few remarks.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, welcome to this hallowed space, the Hall of Fame Rotunda. This is a morning that all of us in the country music community look forward to each year. This is the day we learn who will join the most esteemed and exclusive circle in our music, as Sarah said, the unbroken circle. In a few moments, we will learn about this Hall of Fame's three new inductees. They hail from Florida, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. All three came from small towns, but very quickly each one was heard all over the world, each with a distinctive, unmistakable style. All of them made a substantial impact on our music before the age of 35, and they continued to do so across decades. All three have left a strong and deep stamp on our genre, and now they will forever be enshrined here with other remarkable figures who shaped country music. We at this museum do not elect members of the Hall of Fame, but we are caretakers of those members' rich stories. We inform people of those members' profound contributions. We uphold and preserve their legacies. We don't take these duties lightly, but we accept them happily. Now, here is Sarah Traherne to get toward kind of ending the suspense.
Thanks, Kyle. It's always a fun day when the secret gets out. So the individuals we announced today will be formally inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in the medallion ceremony this October in the CMA Theater. And now to announce our 2024 Country Music Hall of Fame inductees. With 40 top 10 songs and more than 20 #1 hits stretching back to 1991, 2 Grammy Awards and dozens of CMA honors, they're the best-selling duo in history, not to mention Country Music Hall of Fame members. Please join me in welcoming, of course, Brooks and Dunn.
Thank you, both of you. Morning, anyway. Appreciate you joining us today. We're going to announce the names that will soon appear on these walls. is the newest class to join the Country Music Hall of Fame.
So they said that everybody's born in small towns. I guess, am I the only country singer born in Buenos Aires? That's not funny either, is it? All right, I'm going to read this thing. Today we have the honor of recognizing 3 individuals who have reached the pinnacle of achievement in country music. Each one has a unique and enduring impact that spans decades. Their artistry has helped build the foundation of this genre for audiences all over the world, touching hearts and trailblazing a path for future generations. So without further ado, we'll begin with the recording and or touring musician rotating category. Leo Feathers, used to be a guitar player in my band. Leo Fender had been making his Telecaster electric guitars for only a few years when this inductee saw a white 1953 model hanging in J&S Music in Shreveport, Louisiana. It was love at first sight for the 13-year-old, and he fell head over heels for the balance of its body and the high-end bite of its tone. Born in Dubberly, Louisiana, on August 21st, 1939, this inductee convinced his parents that he and the instrument were made for each other. And he set out to emulate music heroes like Chet Atkins, Merle Travis, Les Paul, and Billy Byrd. He quickly figured out that while he couldn't copy their style, he needed to create a sound as distinct as theirs. So he developed a hybrid picking style that combined the use of a flat pick between his thumb and index finger, and to make his high notes really pop, a finger pick on his middle finger. When he played, he bent the strings of his Telecaster, mimicking the glide of a pedal steel while mixing in bursts of staccato notes, and a style as he referred to as chicken picking. That style soon became one of the most familiar sounds in American popular music. For years, this inductee played only that 1953 Telecaster, first white, later red. And as he became a top flight session player in Los Angeles, he appeared on records by Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Hank Williams Jr., and Glenn Campbell, as well as the Everly Brothers, the Monkees, and Buffalo Springfield. When Elvis debuted at Las Vegas International Hotel in 1969, Presley called the inductee and asked him to put a band together. As a result, he became the band leader and lead guitarist of Presley's iconic Taking Care of Business band. He played with Presley for the rest of the singer's life, and it was with Presley that he introduced a second Telecaster, a customized 1969 pink Paisley model, which became as much of an icon in guitar circles as his first one had. After Presley's death in 1977, he joined John Denver's band and worked with him for the next 20 years. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001 and the Musicians Hall of Fame in 2007. The Rolling Stones' Keith Richards once said, Leo Fender had no idea what he was making for the man who really knows how to play the Telecaster. This inductee became so linked with that guitar model that when Fender introduced his first signature Telecaster in 1990, it bore the inductee's name. Now his name will hang in the Rotunda of Country Music Hall of Fame, joining his heroes with many of his musicians, friends, and whom he played, a testament to a perfect combination of a man, a guitar, and a distinctive musical vision.
If I could, being from Shreveport, this guy was a big-time hometown hero, as they say. All of us wanted to learn how to play guitars and be just as cool as he was. Wasn't but one really guitar player in Elvis's band, and that was him. But that was cool, but I got to tell you, in recent years, I got some calls from him. He moved back to Shreveport, and I would say probably, I don't know how many thousands, but I did a couple of shows with him. He dedicated so much of his life to making sure young people had music and musical instruments in their hands in our hometown and around the country. I don't think people really know what a philanthropic, big-hearted, amazing, hard-working guy he was to put music in the hands of young people who otherwise probably wouldn't have been exposed that way. So I'm really proud, along with Ronnie, to introduce James Burton to you as the newest member of the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm honored. It's just amazing. Actually, I'm really surprised for a guitar player, but I just want to thank all you guys for your love and support. And what can I say? It's truly an honor. And I'm going to be here for a long time. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Kix. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Good job, Bart. Congratulations. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, James. Fantastic. All right, on to our next category. We have the Veterans Era Artist Inductee, which represents artists that came to national prominence before 1979. So some singers get the knock of being, well, too country for rock, too rock for country. That was never the case with this inductee. At his best, he was too rock and too country, as likely to sing songs by Van Morrison, Willie Dixon, as he was by Lefty Frizzell or Mary John Wilkin. He was born December 13th, 1954, and this inductee grew up in Apalka, Florida. I don't know, maybe right, maybe not. As a youth, he played in local rock groups like The Living End and the Weed Seeds. He soon tuned into country music, and he counted Merle Haggard as one of his heroes. Moved to Nashville shortly after graduating high school, catching the attention of publisher Al Gallico, who got him a publishing deal and signed to Warner Brothers Records. Now, Nora Wilson produced his early records for the label. His first 5 hit, a version of Billy Joe Schaefer's I'm Just an Old Chunk of Coal. You remember that one. Came nearly 4 years after his label debut. In late 1982, as the title track for this inductee's 4th album, Wild and Blue, was on a trajectory to become his first #1 single, several radio stations began playing another song from the album. And sure enough, 3 weeks after Wild and Blue hit #1, Swingin' hit the country charts. 10 weeks after that, the mildly suggestive number. I didn't write that. What was going on out there in that swing? Well, anyway, it became his 2nd chart topper. The Country Music Association recognized Swingin' as the Single of the Year at the 1983 CMA Awards, where he was also named the Horizon Award winner. This inductee had 5 top 5 singles, including 3 #1s in just 2 years. Well, following the brief stints with MCA Records Nashville and Universal Records, he signed with B&A Records, a subsidiary of RCA, in 1991. Straight Tequila Night brought this inductee's career roaring back, making him one of the only a handful of acts who began releasing records in the 1970s and continued to have major successes into the 1990s. After B&A, he recorded for Mercury Records, Columbia Nashville, the Warner imprint Rayball Records, Country Crossing, and Bayou Boys Music. He obviously had a hard time holding a job, but he was killing us with great singing all the way through it. I added that, sorry. In 2020, he worked with Johnny Cash collaborator David Ferguson and the Black Keys, Dan Auerbach, on his 22nd studio album, Years. In addition to his 2 1980 CMA Awards, he participated in the 1994 Album of the Year win for Common Thread, The Songs of the Eagles, on which he covered Heartache Tonight. Truly living out his songs, he has lived the country lifestyle for more than 45 years. When not on the road, he enjoys spending time with his family, hunting, fishing, and gardening. He and his wife of more than 40 years, Jamie, share 2 daughters and their families. With a discography spanning over 40 years, this inductee's career track has had enough peaks, valleys, twists, and turns to resemble a roller coaster. His musical vision hasn't always aligned with the fashion of the times, but whatever he decides to sing, as soon as he starts, there is no mistaking who it is. His voice is timeless, and it's found a forever home now in the Country Music Hall of Fame. Please help me honor the newest inductee into the Veterans Era Artist category of the Country Music Hall of Fame, my buddy John Anderson.
Yeah. You hear that?
Thank you, Ronnie and Kicks. I want to say this is probably the greatest honor I could ever receive standing on this stage today. Still trying to get a grasp on just the reality of this happening to me. And so very proud and so honored. I want to thank all the fans that have, of course, supported us through the last nearly 50 years. All the folks here at the Hall of Fame and the CMA for letting this be possible, this moment for me. Many, many people to thank along the way. My good friend Glenn Reef, I want to thank him for being with me and traveling around and us still getting to play the shows that we play. We have a great time out on the road and hope we can continue to keep doing that. They asked just what this means, and a whole lot of this means to me. This is an institution that preserves greatness. And I know it is because I have some dear friends, many dear friends that are in the Hall of Fame. People like Ernest Tubb, Miss Minnie Pearl, Loretta Lynn, Porter, Little Jimmy Dickens, and Melvin, and of course George and Merle, who I was fortunate to run with and do shows. But just the fact that I get a chance to be amongst this kind of greatness, words can't really explain for me how important it is. Music has been my whole life, or a lot of what keeps me driven since I was just a child. And I have so much to be thankful for as far as my wife, Jamie, of 40 years, my daughters and family, who always made it so special coming home from the road. I can't say enough about the home life that I've had, and I know a lot of my other friends weren't so fortunate to have it. And that's meant an awful lot to me through the years. I would like to say, too, that, again, how honored I am to have just a small spot in this institution. And I hope that I can do my part to try not to mess it up. God bless y'all. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, John. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. Before Kix and Ronnie return to share the impressive accolades of our modern era artists, I'd like to share a few details surrounding this year's election process. As usual, nominations are made in the fall of 2023, and the first ballot was sent to the voters before the holiday, with the final ballot closing on Friday, February the 2nd. Our professional services partners at Deloitte released the results to us just a few days later. This year, we anticipated receiving the names of our final inductees on Tuesday, February the 6th. As we know now, we woke up that morning to the heartbreaking news that our friend Toby Keith had lost his long battle with stomach cancer. What's bittersweet is just that a few hours later, our team received word from Deloitte that he'd been elected in the modern era category. Truly, one of the greatest honors of my job is getting to inform these inductees that they're the newest members of the hallowed class. My heart sank that Tuesday afternoon, knowing that we missed the chance to inform Toby while he was still with us. But I have no doubt that he's smiling down on us, knowing that he will always be, quote, as good as he once was. I should mention that while the rules of election do not allow someone to be elected into the Country Music Hall of Fame in the year in which they pass away, that doesn't apply this year, as Toby was selected before he died. Selection into the Country Music Hall of Fame is not just about celebrating at the induction ceremony or lifting a glass today to celebrate the announcement. It's about the music, the artistry, and the legacy of these artists and these individuals being remembered for the ages. All three of our inductees are certainly deserving of that honor today. Congratulations, big guy. I now welcome back Kix and Ronnie to help us recap the remarkable Hall of Fame career of our modern era inductee, Toby Keith.
And this is a good one. Few artists have had bigger careers than Toby Keith. Outspoken and self-confident, sure was. Keith knew what he had, even when others didn't recognize it. Every time someone undervalued him or sold him short, he turned the slide into motivation and creative fuel for a career that ranks with country's greatest. Born July 8th, 1961, Toby Keith Covell grew up in the suburbs of Oklahoma City, the son of a second-generation oil field roughneck. Young Keith admired artists who could also write their own songs, whether in country, rock, or soul. As he began writing his own, he figured if he could make it as a singer, the songs were good enough to get cuts. Soon, Mercury Records in Nashville head Harold Shedd heard about Keith and traveled to Oklahoma City to see him on his home turf. Shedd signed Keith to Mercury the next day, and three of his first four singles were the chart-topping Should Have Been a Cowboy, as well as He Ain't Worth Missing, which I didn't know now. Both went top 5. Should Have Been a Cowboy gave Keith a number 1 out of the gate, and his first 20 number one spanning 4 decades. Among country acts, only Merle Haggard and Alan Jackson have written more of their own number 1 hits, and if Toby were here, he'd tell you that. After parting ways with Mercury, he took his next album down the street to the recently launched DreamWorks, which was run by his producer, James Stroud. The album's first single, How Do You Like Me Now, spent 5 weeks at number 1, becoming Keith's biggest record to date. Another song, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, The Angry American, was written as motivation for members of the U.S. military invading Afghanistan after the September 11th terrorist attacks. Many people tried to portray him as one-dimensional, and he wasn't. We know, we've been on the road with him, right? But anyone who knew Keith knew he wouldn't be limited to that. Keith didn't write so much about politics as he wrote about communities. He found in the military and in bars, in bands that travel the highways together. He performed on 11 USO tours, playing more than 200 shows for members of the U.S. Armed Forces. In 2005, Keith launched his own label, Show Dog Records, and pursued his musical vision there for the rest of his life. Keith nearly missed his induction into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame in 2007 when his son's football team, which he coached, took their championship game into multiple overtimes. He went into the New York-based all-genre Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015 and the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2021. Keith also received the National Medal of the Arts in 2020 and the BMI Icon Award in 2022, among several other industry awards and honors. Keith was diagnosed with stomach cancer in 2021 and died a few weeks ago on February 5th at the age of 62. The man who once sang that, he dreamed about living in your radio, has found a permanent home in the Hall of Fame Rotunda. To accept this honor on behalf of Toby, please join with me in welcoming his son, Stellan Covell, to the stage. Steven. Sorry.
Thank you all. On behalf of my whole family, we want to thank the Hall of Fame. It's an honor to stand here and represent my father. He's an amazing man, husband, father, and artist. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you.
He loved you, Steelan. I was, when I asked him how he was doing, that's all he wanted to talk about. He loved football, and he loved hanging out with you on that field too, Pard. I remember one quick story, because Toby's known for being up front. And he loved to, like we all do, talk about ourselves and what we're doing. But he had a really fun piece of humility running through him that always seemed to shine. We were talking, he's a huge Oklahoma football fan, and he told his story about getting to be on the sideline the first time. He said, man, it was so cool. I'm down there, and everybody's getting fired up, we're banging, they're all banging on their shoulder pads, getting ready to go out on the field, and the defense goes out on the field, it's 3 and out, and they come back in, everybody's, yeah, banging on their shoulder pads, getting fired up. He said, man, I find this same guy, and I'm pounding on the, yeah, man, that's it. And they go back out again, there's another 3 and out, and they come back on the side, and he goes, I run up to hit him on the shoulder pads. He goes, hey, do I know you? He said, no. He said, well, stop hitting me. Anyway, kid hand, we're going to miss Toby, but so cool he's in. And on behalf of the CMA, I'd like to congratulate each of our inductees again, and their colleagues, families. We sure as hell can't do it without you. This remarkable achievement, I can tell you it's one that Ronnie and I certainly hold real near and dear. So thank you all for being here today.
Thanks, John.